So thank you and welcome to this panel, and we would start the discussion. So as I was talking about that, there is a need for orchestration and automation in cybersecurity, and I think the threat intelligence is a very important aspect when you have to respond to advanced threats and the information that is coming in, and the amount of feeds that are coming in. It's number of feeds that an organization is processing. So having an orchestration and automation layer is very important, and that's the discussion that I focus to have with our panel members today. So one of the few questions that before we go into orchestration and automation, I think I would give this question to Salman Saab that before we go and talk about how to automate and orchestrate the CTI, uh, we as an organization, what what a threat intelligence process and workflow should look like for an organization before they even considering the orchestration and automation.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much, Shuja. Uh, Before, I think CTI is something, or threat intelligence, something which is becoming a buzzword, yes. But I think sanitation starts from, ground zero. Uh, we need to realize a very important fact that, things that are coming from outside, or attacks are coming from outside, are very, very important, but it's equally important to understand what is coming from inside. So we have to understand and realize the importance of doing that. And then when it comes to cyber threat intelligence, I think now it's become a need of every organization. It's not limited to government or defense or even enterprise. Everybody as an organization, has to have some sort of a threat intelligence connectivity and usefulness of this treasure of information which is available. But if you don't use it right, it's just garbage. So orchestration helps them, helps the organizations to understand what is useful for them, what is not useful to them, less false positives. So, instead of your SOC teams or people who are trying to grab the most useful information for the organization, that's critical for us to understand. So CTI and its related platforms, like Glenn just said a few minutes back, is very critical to have connectivity. And one thing which is very important, I've seen it happening internationally as well, is the knowledge sharing platform. Knowledge sharing is something which has to become open now, and because it's very, very difficult for people to create armies of resources just doing threat hunting or threat intelligence management, right? So it is vital for us to join hands together and see if we can develop something in Pakistan as a knowledge sharing platform, and which anybody and everybody can connect to, and every organization, rather than investing millions of dollars into acquiring a tool and then millions of dollars into operating that tool with so many people, it is something which is, I suggest, should be implemented as soon as possible.
No, I think you raise an important point, and some aspects. I think this is something that I have in mind to discuss, that how local threat intelligence helps, and what kind of knowledge sharing should be in the industry, because we do go towards global threat intelligence, but having country specific threat intelligence, having industry specific threat intelligence is very important. So connecting to this, I would give this question to Farooq. So what kind of feeds, what kind of use cases that threat intelligence can address? And I think since there are millions of feeds that are coming in for an organization, what should be the feeds that they should be looking at? What kind of I would say threat intelligence an organization should be looking at, that they should consume and process?
Okay. So, so I think a good starting point when we talk about threat intelligence is that, I mean, there are lots of sources for threat intelligence, be it through open source platforms, through commercial feeds, through public sector feeds, and to sectoral specific feeds. And I think to your point, Faiz, a big challenge is around managing them, aggregating them, and making sure that it's meant for that specific organization and it's not just information that is coming in. So one of the things that we have seen in North America is our various concepts, especially around sectoral based ISACs. So in North America, a couple of years ago, we had this concept which came up, which is known as Information Sharing and Analysis Center. And as far as I know, more than a dozen ISACs uh, exist as of now, be it for the financial sector, be it for the healthcare sector, for the public sector, for the research and education sector. And they have been serving the relevant community to ensure they are providing them the relevant feed for that specific sector, and also making sure that there is some kind of refinement and aggregation that is being done, because we need to be careful about threat intelligence, because if threat intelligence is not aggregated and refined appropriately, it would be considered as noise. So one of the things that we often say in the cyber threat intelligence community is that threat intelligence should be actionable and tactical also. So, yeah, coming back to your point, we have got lots of use cases. The concept of ISACs came from the US, being now used globally. In Canada, we have the Canadian Center of Cybersecurity, also working on providing threat intelligence and advisories to the relevant sectors. And when we talk about threat intelligence, we're talking about 3 to 4 kinds of threat intelligence: strategic, tactical, technical, and operational. So from the public sector standpoint, we have the Canadian Center of Cybersecurity. We also have the Canadian Cyber Threat Exchange, which has its own feed for various sectors. And then we have all the commercial feeds coming in from other players also. 2 to 3 years ago, I started working on a project in Ontario, Canada, which was more specific around developing and aggregating threat feed for the higher education sector also. So these are just some of the examples that we have seen of cyber threat intelligence use cases in North America.
Yeah, thank you, Farooq. Yeah, I think it's we have been trying in a lot of sectors have been trying to have the ISEC, which is as Farooq mentioned, is the information sharing and analysis center, which aggregates multiple information, multiple feeds from various sources and provide those specific information to a specific sector. Financial sector, telecommunication sector. So I think there is a need for an ISEC in Pakistan, which Salman Saab also mentioned, that local knowledge sharing and local threat intelligence sharing is important. And I believe there have been some initiatives taken by certain communities as well and industries to have such knowledge sharing. I agree that it's not formalized as it should be, but I think it's very important to move towards an ISAC which